Welcome to ESC Fan TV. Thank you for joining us for this fantastic night. It's the Destination Eurovision final, and we are going to have our recap show. Stay tuned. It will be fire. Who have we got on the show tonight? We have Andy Brooke.
Oh, bonsoir, mon ami.
Bonsoir, Andy. We have Joe.
Bonsoir.
We have from the Let Me Be the One podcast and radio show and blog, I should say. It's Martin Palmer.
Hi, everyone.
We have Michelle and Phil Harrison.
Hi up. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
No.
No. we have Tristan.
Hello. We
have the lovely Ness.
Good evening.
And as always, we have my co-host. We have Tom.
Bonsoir.
So France, 61 entries in Eurovision, won 5 times. Are they going to win again? Tonight's show will take you through all eight final entries from tonight. We'll talk about the winners, the losers, the ones that we thought we did better than expected. We are going to start with Shemaine Bardi, Lahore. Ness, big name in France, Shemaine, 36 years old. She took part in the 2002 Pop Stars in France, topped the French charts in 2003, and won the 3rd season of Dancing with the Stars. What did you make of Lahore?
Very nice. I thought it was beautiful in terms of just, I think for all of them, they've got stronger and they really wanted it. And I think she was testament to that. I think she put lots of effort in tonight. So, yeah.
Andy, what did you make of Lahore?
Oh, well, this was my favourite. I didn't think she was the best performer. She has a lovely voice. She wasn't very confident in the way she presented the song, but it was my favourite. And I was surprised she did as well. Was she 3rd?
Yeah, she was. She came 3rd, 119 points. Yeah, just ahead of La Promesse, Emmanuel Moir. And Mitchell's joined us all the way from sunny Sydney. Hey, Mitchell.
Good day.
No, we can't hear you. There's no audio, unfortunately. We'll move straight on to Phil and Michelle. Phil and Michelle, what did you make of Shemaine Bardi's Lahore?
Well, I thought the Celine Dion cover version she did was brilliant, but I thought the actual song was a bit repetitive, and she didn't really sing that as well as she did the cover version. And also, what was going on with the bloke in the fish tank?
Yet again, feels wrong. I loved it. I thought she was brilliant. But I think if she'd have put on a sequin frock and gone for it a bit, she'd have been all right. But she just looked a bit plain Jane. I've just come from the office. Oh, I'll knock this song out. There was nothing about it. She needed something a bit more. Put a sequin dress on her. I think it's heavy breathing.
No, I thought she was understated French, classic style, but anyway.
Yeah,
were we surprised that this did as well as it did? It came 3rd, of course, 119 points. Michelle, were you surprised that this finished as high as it did?
No, I thought she would do really well. I thought it was a really, really good song. I thought she sang it well. It was a bit dodgy on the low notes, but I think everyone sounded a bit sort of, I don't think the sound was as good as it was last week. I'm not sure what happened, but I think if she'd have put a bit more effort into the way she looked and the staging, I think it could have won, but I'm not surprised that she came 3rd.
Could we send it for our song?
Why not? Andy, what did you make of Shemaine's box?
Oh, well, yeah. They had some nice contents.
Did you like the kind of the LED screens rising from her box?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to get out of me, and I'm not, I'm not going to rise. I'm not going to rise to that. It was very nice. It was a lovely box.
It was a nice box. Moving on to Sylvain Areg. Sylvain Areg, he started off by singing the 1991 French entry, which came 2nd, of course, to Carola. He's 39 years old. He's good friends with Dusson, which we'll cover a little shortly. He sang the song Le Petit Nicolas, which translates as Little Nicky. It is written after a famous character of French literature. The song was retro with an urban influence. Martin, what did you make of Little Nicky?
Well, I thought this would have absolutely no chance. I thought all the surprise and the fun of the semi-final would be lost because we'd seen it all before, and he didn't sing it as well as he did in the semi-final either. And the cover was brutal. It just chopped it to bits, and I just thought he was going to be making out the numbers. So when he ended up being where he was for the juries, I just thought, my God, how did that happen? But then the French public
Martin
put him where he should have been.
Joanne.
Yeah, I just didn't like it at all, really. I mean, I love the song and I love him, and he was my dark horse in the semi. But I just don't think he did such a good version this time. And I have a feeling he probably came across better in the studio than he did to the rest of us, which is why he didn't get so well in the public.
Oh, can I just say then, while there's a blank, that I think the reason that he didn't come across so well is that the sound for all of them wasn't as good as it was in the semis.
Yeah, there seemed to be a problem with the sound, I thought, for him. The cover, I just thought, made him sound like a Devonshire farmer. Because it was... he's going, ooh-wah, 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 ooh-wah.
He did something, didn't he? It just wasn't right. This wasn't right.
Oh, wait, we've been told we're not allowed to swear. Can we swear in French?
No.
It was
No.
It was dreadful. It was just awful.
Okay, for me, it was the most shocking song of the night. I hated it when I heard it before, and I hated it tonight just as much.
It sort of reminded me of Fatal Picard from 2007, which was a sort of whimsical song that I thought worked really well. But maybe the lyrics were great and we just didn't understand them. Tristan?
They were okay. They were sort of like all about young boy trying to get out of his small village and see the world. It was obviously based on this character from the 50s. It was okay. The lyrics were quite fun, but I was really amazed that the international jury went for it, and in fact scored it higher than the televote. If I were a betting man, which I am, but I didn't actually bet, I would no way would I have thought that the international jury would have given it a higher placing than the televote.
Well,
So
does that suggest that the international voters just think that something like that sounds as if it must be good? Because
typical
it's a bit
French,
arty.
maybe.
Well, I think it was. I think it's what the French actually think. A French-sounding song should actually be like, and I think that's why France scored. France. I think that's why Sylvain scored so highly. One thing to note, obviously, Stuart introduced this as La Petite Nicolas, but obviously Sylvain was forced to change the name of the song, and it was actually Allez le dire when it was performed this evening, as opposed to La Petite Nicolas. But we should really press on and move on. So the third song of the evening was Stuart.
I'm back with you now. Apologies, this has not happened before. We're having some technical difficulties. The third song of the evening was The Divas with La Voix d'Arita. Amalia, Sophia and Stacey all played the divas in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, all took part in The Voice France. How energetic and fantastic was this song? I'm going to come to Tom straight away. Tom, what did you make of the divas this evening?
Do you know what? In actual fact, I think it's a lot of fun. I think the trouble is that the surprise had gone. There was a massive surprise last week. They turned up in bright red PVC. They had the vocals. They had a fantastic cover. I thought picking Waterloo as your cover song before you go into it, it was a brave choice. I don't think it paid off for them. And I think then when they went into the song, it had lost that energy. Harmonies, fantastic, but the energy that was there, it was just one step out of time.
One step out. Nice little Michael Ball reference there, Tom.
Oh, yes.
Everyone appreciate that. And I'm going to come to Martin next. Martin, what did you make of the Divas?
I think Tom's basically said everything there. The Waterloo sort of worked because they tried it. Part of it worked. So I think when they had it slow, they could cope with it. Then they tried to do it like ABBA, and it didn't work. They sung it. Their voices were really good again. They had the routine down again. But as Tom said, I think because we had seen it on the semi-final, I think it did lose the impact that it had then. And I think probably where they finished up, sort of just below mid-table, was about right for the night.
And I'm going to come to Phil. Phil, what did you make of this?
I think I agree with everyone else. It was a little bit lackluster. In the semis, they really belted it out, and this time it just seemed a little bit, they held back. And also, I don't think the outfits were as good. I don't know why they looked like some sort of Grease tribute thing, but it didn't really work for me.
So, but did we think this could have done better, though? I mean, in the end, it certainly was one of the sort of, top performances in the first half of the show. And it kind of just drifted by the time you had the likes of Bilal and Simone perform. Could this have done better if it was in the second half of the running order? And I'll come to Tom again with that.
Do you know what? I really don't think it would have done. I think it still would have picked up the votes it did, because I think at the end of the day, this was a song that was a bit like Marmite. You either loved it or you hated it. And I think that showed in the jury votes, where you got some gave it 12 points. And then there were others who were just either scoring it lowly or not giving it any points at all. And I think to that, I think it probably would have just ended up in exactly the same place.
So that was the Divas. Just a shout out to the chat room, Tom. What's happening in the chat room this evening?
Over in the chat room, we've got a couple of people commenting on Bilal's victory. We've got, again, David Ray saying that there was a surprise of the night. And I think that was his comments on Kiem, actually. And then also a comment that the winner, there was huge disparity between the public and the juries. But I think we're going to be discussing that a bit later on. And also a comment, the Divas were really good, but a little bit underwhelming.
Little bit underwhelming. Wow. Just like to apologise for the technical difficulties we're facing this evening. It's a bit of a one-off. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. It may very well be simply Wi-Fi related. So apologies, and thank you for sticking by. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and also click the like button. Of course, at the end of this show, we will be downloading it to YouTube. You can click the YouTube link and rewatch, and also you will be able to catch this broadcast on Spotify, on iTunes, on Stitcher, and on TuneIn from Monday onwards. So song 4 was Emmanuel Moir with La Promesse. He won Dancing with the Stars in 2013. He has 4 studio albums, 1 gold, 1 platinum, and he won the second semi-final via the televote. Emmanuel wrote the song, and the song is about Emmanuel suppressing his sexuality. He's keeping a promise to himself. Ness, what did you make of Emmanuel Moir?
Oh, I wish he was on my bus. Oh, what a lovely man. And I thought, superb performance. I thought the dancers were right for, the whole sort of demonstrating that by ripping his sleeves off and, sort of undressing him. And I think obviously what they were trying to portray was, that this facade sometimes that people hold where they're not free to express their sexual orientation. Really enjoyed it. I thought his voice, again, I didn't pick up so much of the sort of poor mic issues or whatever was going on. It felt very strong to me, and he enjoyed it. You could see he was enjoying the performance, the passion, the strength of voice that he was using in it. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
And I'm going to come to Andy. Andy, what did you make of Emmanuel Moir?
Oh, well, I thought it was very much like Gina G. He fluffed his high note. And in a song like that, you really can't afford to. You've got one high note, and he fluffed it. He fluffed it in the semi-final as well. He's got a nice voice. It was a really lovely song. It seemed like the message was great. But that was the part of the song that was used in the reprise. So he didn't really stand a chance of winning with that one note that was wrong.
We're going to come to Mitchell. Mitchell, hopefully your mic's working now. What did you make of this song? No, still nothing, unfortunately. Tom, what did you make of Emmanuel Moir?
Do you know what? I really wanted him to do well. I thought it had a good song, good performance. And as Andy said, I was even willing to forgive the high note as well that was just off key. But it was unfortunate for him that was the clip they used in the reprise. I have to say, I was very surprised how badly is the wrong word, but compared to the other songs, how he performed in the public vote, I would have thought he would have picked up more votes this evening, especially given the fact that he was mostly so consistent with the international juries. I did start to wonder if he was going to be the person to try and snatch the crown off of Bilal at one stage.
Yeah, so that was Emmanuel Moir. I mean, he won the second semi-final televote. He didn't fare as well tonight, unfortunately. Where did he finish, Tom?
Do you know what, Stuart? That's a really good question.
In fourth.
I think he finished fourth.
Yeah, 115 points. So not nearly sort of touching third there. Third, of course, was Lahore. Moving on to song 5, Du Song with Sois une bonne fille. He's 33 years old. I mentioned earlier about the connection, relationship between himself and Sylvain Areg. In the 90s, he was a member of the French group Colours, has worked with Sylvain Areg on many projects in France, various different singers. And his song was contemporary, part of the Afrobeat genre. And it was about his mum's expectations of her son, hence the little lad that was in front of him singing and dancing along. Ness, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, I liked this one. Thought it was really good. The young lad on stage sort of mirroring the dancing, and really, it was. I don't know. I just got a really good feel-good sense from it by the end of the song. Felt uplifted and kind of, yeah. I thought it was just really nice, and he seemed like a really nice chap. If you can get that from somebody singing and interpreting his French, which I didn't really.
And Michelle, were you a fan of Du Song and his Afrobeat?
Yes, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. And we saw that there was another man singing in front of the stage as well as him. But I mean, that's nothing unusual. It happens all the time. I thought it was really good. It was something different, something a bit unusual. It would have stood out. I think the winning song is just going to get lost. I think we could have done a lot better. Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Coming to Tristan. Tristan, what did you make of Du Song?
It was really, yeah, I liked it. I was surprised it did so badly. It's a very charming song, and I thought he did better than the previous one. To be honest, in the previous versions, I was quite surprised he did quite so badly. So I'm having some real technical problems tonight. It's I think we all are.
Yeah, it's not a great show for technology tonight and connectivity. So I apologise to everyone who's joined us this evening. This is a first for me.
It's the weather.
It's the I must admit, I'm now having further issues with my phone. So it really is one of those evenings. So apologies.
Stuart, it's coming. Stuart, you're coming across perfectly well, though.
Okay, well that's good. We
can see you and we can hear you.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So moving on to Tom. Tom, what did you conclude Du Song for us? What did you think of Du Song?
Do you know what? The beauty, the sheer beauty of Du Song. is that this is a guy who was simply just happy to be there. He didn't expect to get through last week. It was written all over his face. He didn't expect to get through last week. He was absolutely made up just to actually be in that final. And I think it showed through in that performance. He didn't care whether he came first, second, or last. He was just someone doing what he loved doing, having a whale of a time. And I think that really showed.
He looked like he was having a great time, and I mean, we were sort of debating if he were to win, what would he do with regards to the young lad that was performing? Because the rules of the Eurovision Song Contest are that you cannot take someone on stage with you who is under the age of 16. Andy, what would you do in his situation? I mean, he didn't win, so it's all sort of, it's hypothetical at this point, but had he won, what would he have done? Would he have gone the Mons Zemelo route and had an LED screen behind him, perhaps?
The boy would have been there. The song was all about the little boy, wasn't it? So I'm sure they would have found a way around it.
Yeah.
And we're back. Welcome back to EFC Fan TV.
Wake up.
So Stuart needs to wake up from his slumber.
Stuart, I can't work like this. I just can't work like this.
Do you know what? When you lux down, you're lux down, isn't it? It's just when one of those evenings. Look, just to say a big thank you to those who stick with us tonight. Apologies, we have a show Monday and Thursday. The technical issues will be solved this evening. It's not happened before; it won't happen again. So thank you for joining us. This is ESC Fan TV. We're halfway through. Reviewing the French songs of tonight.
More than halfway through.
Halfway through?
Yeah, we're halfway through. Yeah. So we are going to So if you're in the
one word answers from now on.
If you're in the chat room, please go and click the subscribe button. We really, really appreciate it. I know it's been a bit of a dodgy show tonight, technology-wise, but please do. And of course, like the show. Simone, Tristan, what do we make of Simone?
I thought she was absolutely robbed. Once I realised that ISAT was not going to win, was not going to have a chance, I was rooting for her. I thought it was one of those songs that would actually probably possibly even win Eurovision if it had been selected, because it was so simple. It was a beautiful voice, beautiful chord structure, lovely piano, and then that bugle sound comes in towards the end over her voice. It was lovely, and I understand. I mean, it was so exciting voting because she really could have won, but it all depended on that televote. And but in the end, I just think that's a song that I will remember, and it's one that I will not be deleting from my MP3 player anytime soon.
And Andy, you could tell that she was influenced by Amy Winehouse, Nina Simone, and Adele. No, did this song work for you?
You could this song like Amy Winehouse.
No, I said she was influenced by.
Well, if she was Amy, she took the wrong influence. She's a great singer, absolutely beautiful voice, and it was a lovely song. The song reminds me of Amsterdam, the Dutch song from 1980, in the way the melody progressed. The big problem for me was that it was stripped back just too far. So what you ended up with was too much piano, and I'm a pianist, so if I think there's too much piano, it probably is. And the bugle that came in at the end was lovely as well, but we wanted a bit of strings somewhere along the line, just to beef it up. You can't hear me, can you?
Yeah.
Absolutely can.
There was me. I was hanging on your every word.
Yeah, we were so engrossed in what you were saying, Annie, which is the first. So
thank you. But she should have won. She definitely should have won, and it was far and away the best performance of the night. It's just, I think the arrangement of the song just didn't do it justice.
And Martin, I mean, this song was the favourite going into tonight's contest. Should it have won for you?
Yes, it should have won for me, but obviously it was never going to win with the French public as they voted for Bilal. I thought initially we were going to get a Nina Tabletti moment with the smoke because she seemed to be enveloped with it. But once it all cleared, beautifully sung, it suited her voice perfectly. And she actually seemed more relaxed tonight than she did on the semi-final. And I think she gave a better performance and a better vocal than she did even then. So really, she should have won. But I think in the big overall picture, it was never meant to be.
Joanne, I mean, last time we spoke about this song, you were visibly emotional over her performance. Did it capture you in the same way this evening?
Oh, it did. It was simple. It was classy. She was totally robbed. I don't understand the French public, and sorry guys. I understand that Bilal is popular, but this would have won the whole thing potentially. Unfortunately, and he wasn't voted for, which is a shame. I loved her. Absolutely loved her.
It was like Cindy not winning in 2007.
Yeah.
Oh.
Saying Bilal is Scooch.
Well, yeah.
Blimey.
Ask us no questions, we'll tell you no lies.
Nice segue, Martin, into Bilal.
Right, fair enough.
Bilal Hassani with Roi, which means king. It's about self-acceptance. He classifies this as electro pop. He won was on the Kids Voice Kids 2015. The song was co-written by Madame and Monsieur. Ness, was this a favourite of yours, and would you have picked this as your winner?
Personally, I wouldn't have picked it as my winner because I think it's quite cliched, and I don't think the song's got as much depth as some of the others, like Simone's tonight. From my ESC sort of viewpoint, yeah, absolutely. I think we kind of had a hint that he was going to win it. And yeah, I think he performed strong in a stronger way than he did in the first show vocally. I think he'd obviously either had some practice or some maybe vocal coaching because he held his notes better, or maybe it was the sound last time in the semi-final that didn't help him. So yeah, not my favourite by any means because I think it's quite contrived, but it is probably the popular vote and he's got it.
And Bilal Hassani, Andy, would you have picked Roi as your winner?
No, he was the best singer by far. But the song is no, but the song is actually quite current. From I don't listen to much very current. What are you doing?
You've got to have two hands.
I think Tom's doing a Bilal, which is probably something I never want to see.
Is this something to do with what's on top of my
hair as well? I'm going to straighten my hair like he did and paint my eyebrows.
No, it's just the action she does in the song where he puts his hand behind the head to make it look like the crown.
I've got them coming out of the top of my head now, as you can see.
Michelle, Phil, what did you make of this song?
Bilal, it's all sort of, we knew he was going to win. It's like,
I think the song was a bit ordinary. He's probably, he's obviously popular, but I don't think this song really stood out that much, and I don't think it will stand out in a Eurovision final.
I actually
would it have won in the UK?
I agree with my husband. Shush, Andy, because I agree with my husband. I think lost. He looks a bit like, like what is it? Ali Berry out of X-Men. But he can only go so far with that. He looks a bit strange. It's not going to get your votes. It's going to get lost. It's just going to go meh when it gets them.
Can I just say,
Tom, I was going to bring you in.
I was going to say we've had a message in the chat room. It's a comment on part 1 actually, and they've said that Bilal will bring France's worst result for decades. And I have to say they've got short memories, because just 5 years ago, France came last with 2 points with Twin and Moustache.
Well,
Yeah.
I like Moustache.
Moustache.
I'll be honest. I think it's his fan base that has catapulted him to be the France's song. I don't think it was the worst song on the night. I don't think it was the best song on the night.
No.
Is it going to do something on that Eurovision stage?
No.
To song 8 then. Song 8 was Aïssa and Comme une grande. Sadly didn't do very well in terms of the scoreboard. But what did we think, Martin?
It was a good show closer. I think she did as well as she did the week before. In fact, probably better, because she wasn't singing Dancing Queen beforehand. So she didn't. She wasn't unnerved by the fact that her vocals were poor. The cover was good. Performance was good. She was just not one of the best acts on the night, unfortunately. I think she probably ended up where she was destined to end up, sort of like bottom 2. But yeah, it was a decent enough performance.
Yeah. And Ness, I mean, we did slate her cover of Dancing Queen last week, but what did you make of her cover, which was Fairy Tale?
Yeah, it wasn't as good as Alexander's version, shall we say? I don't know. I think she has a strong voice. She can sing better than most, but I just got a sense that I know she was just not in it, or she kind of knew already she wasn't going to win it. So for me, I really didn't take to her voice or the song, so it was difficult to get behind it. But good on her for making the effort and carrying on through. It's always hard, isn't it, to finish the show up? So yeah, and I think she'd seen the quality or the caliber of the other singers that night, and probably knew she didn't stand a snowball's chance, really. So.
I mean, Joe, do you think that she gave it all she got with the dance routine for a start off, which I think was totally more involved than any of the others? I mean, what did you think of the general kind of package she presented?
The set was really good, and the dance, yeah, absolutely. I thought the staging, it was one of the best of the night. Her singing, though, I just find her a really flat at times, and I've never been a massive fan of the song anyway. So I think for me it was like, oh, yeah, this is just a closer. Yeah, it'll be all over soon. The votes will start. So I was moving on to the next thing instead of her capturing my imagination, so to speak.
And moving on to the votes we did, and sadly ISAT did come down the bottom of the scoreboard. I think only coming above Dulzen's song, which was a shame. Didn't really set the scoreboard alight. And it looked like it was going Simone's way with Tu l'as, 94 points. And then came that public televote. Now, been doing some thinking about this. There was 120 maximum points that Simone could have got for Tu l'as if she'd have got 12 points from every juror. But Bilal walks away with 150 televote points. So there's obviously some difference in how they do the televote compared with how they do the jury vote. Ness, do you think France needs to look at this system again next year so that you can't get that total blown out the water effect?
Yeah, I think they do. Otherwise, contestants' potential entries next year may be a bit more reluctant to do that, because if somebody's got a stronger social media following, as we discussed yesterday, or they just have a sense of that then they're going to lose out quite heavily, it just makes a bit of a mockery of the whole voting system. But then how many times have we experienced that since the voting changed in the Eurovision Song Contest, where I remember Russia was a classic, wasn't it? Just like you know, he literally was sitting there thinking, yeah, I got it, and then it all changed. So and Australia felt the same, I think. So it doesn't make it quite as nail biting going forward, because everybody's going to think, well, yeah, that's the favourite. So it doesn't really matter what the juries think. It's just the public vote. So it is just not balanced enough.
I mean, Joe, there's been some suggestions on some of the forums today that maybe when it comes to televoting, if you're going to do that type of system, what you do is you allocate the points in almost an equal fashion to the juries, i.e., if the maximum the maximum jury points, you can get is 120, then that should be the top of the shot for the jury. So you basically award televote points 120, 100, 80, 60, 40, and so on. I mean, what would your take be on that?
I think I agree, if I'm honest. I mean, if you're looking at it as a percentage, for example, because what did Bilal get? About 35% of the public votes or something?
Yep.
So 35% of 120 isn't 115. We don't have to work that one out. So I just think that there was something not right there. There was just something not right. As far as Bilal winning, you know, at the end of the day, he is got such a massive following that it was like everyone else has also ran from the start, and they shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have happened that way. And I do think there has to be some sort of change put in place, and whether that's just for France or whether that's going to be across the whole competition, I don't know. But certainly for France, they need to look at it for next year. Otherwise, all they're going to get are people turning up that have got sort of, you know, keep having fan followings and social media accounts. So there's going to be no genuine ones, let's just say, no good musicians out there. And they're going to miss out, because let's face it, they're going to miss out on a decent place in there, which is such a shame.
Yeah, and it's interesting to know, as someone was saying, what they did with the televoting result was that they said there were 420 total points available. And therefore they then split them up in that way. Obviously, if they had adopted a system of like 120, 100 and so on, then Simone would have won by 4 points. So my calculation goes. I mean, Martin, would that be a more favourable result? I think that's the right way to put it.
I mean, it sounds from what you're saying that it should be split 50-50. Of course, I don't know. I think that was supposedly the scheme, wasn't it? Sort of 50%, 50%.
Yeah.
So really, the maximum point should be the same. But I suppose it's just a percentage of the total that you could get. But yes, it is. It does make it more weighted towards televote, which I suppose a lot of the time we say is probably the better way to do it. Because if you had a 50-50 jury and televote, and it was all going to come down to one deciding the result or the other, we would all be saying, well, it should be the people who pay to vote rather than the professional guys. So in that respect, it's probably better that the televoters did decide this that way, especially as it was it €1 a vote? So I mean, if they're prepared to vote that much and spend that much money, fair enough. As for the result, I mean, Simone, I think obviously vocally was probably the best on the night, and would give you a more what people would recognise as a French entry. A lot of people are saying that Bilal, it's all French and televotes, and therefore he's not going to get that in Eurovision. I'm not so sure. I think that he could get a similar sort of response across the board from other countries. And the one thing with YouTube and social media, it's not just down to one country. That's international, that's global. So potentially he could pick up fans across Europe, across Australia, Eurovision, everywhere. And by May, he could be sort of one of the favourites, no matter how well he does. And he's got a few months to actually get his vocals sorted, get a routine where he's not dancing around like a loon, and therefore his voice goes, and he can also hit that high note. And, I think he's got time to improve and get a better result than we all think at the moment.
I was going to say, where would you pinpoint him if we take the scoreboard in groups of 5 or 6? So, like, first to fifth, sixth to 10th, and so on. Whereabouts is your gut instinct about where Bilal's going to be finishing up in Tel Aviv?
I think a lot higher than people think. I've seen a lot of people saying bottom 5. I think he's going to, I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up in the top 10, because I think the routine's there, his likability there, because whenever you see him, he's smiling, he's endearing, he's engaging, he's got charisma, and I think his vocals will be better. So I think that France are at least going to be as good as they have been over the last 3 years, since they've had Amir and Alma and Madame Monsieur. But I think they could actually be better. Winner, don't know. I mean, obviously we only know 3 out of 42 at the moment. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be better than people think.
And Ness, where would you put Bilal for Tel Aviv?
Well, it's difficult right now because obviously he, we don't know the other songs yet from the other countries, but I think probably reflecting on our discussions now, top 10 as well. Yeah, I think the fact that the song's partly in English, partly in French, it could capture people. It depends what the stage setting is like, what his outfit is. I imagine it'd be quite outlandish, right?
And Joe?
Again, it just depends on what else we have, but I'm thinking it's going to be something similar to Madame Monsieur last year, potentially. So, sort of anything between 10 and 15, something like that. It's certainly not going to be bottom. I don't think it's going to be bottom half. It's only just going to go onto the right-hand side of the board, I think.
See, now I'm going to totally contradict all of you, because I reckon he's going to be in the bottom half of the scoreboard on the night. And there is one reason for that, and that's having listened to it. The song has what I have coined as a phrase now, icebreaker syndrome in the chorus, where if you listen to the chorus, it's like someone has suddenly slammed on the brakes and the tempo slows down. And it just creates quite a jarring thing for the ears. And I've seen that happen with a few songs over the last few years. And I've seen what Europe does to them. And they tend to get overlooked, which is a shame, because, I mean, we could all be doing this.
It's that, isn't it? Both, isn't it?
Yes, that's the one.
We could all be putting our hands behind our heads in a crown-like fashion come May.
They've actually put his picture, believe it or not, on the Facebook page in France. I think they've actually put that picture where he's doing that. They're doing that as their header on Facebook.
Fantastic. Well, so brings to the end of another review, and it's our final destination Eurovision show. Obviously, France have made their choice. Bilal Hassani will be representing them with Roi in May. I'd like to thank everyone who participated over the last couple of days, with apologies for the technical issues as well. But for now, we'll say thanks to Joe.
Bye.
Thanks to Martin.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks to Ness.
Merci beaucoup.
And I'll be back on Monday when we're going to be going through the semi-final allocation draw, looking at some Portuguese entries and looking at some Norwegian ones as well. And we'll see you then. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.